morning, Chris.
Good morning, Shephard. How are you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to Entrepreneurship Couch.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. To our viewers across the globe, welcome. Chris. Chris is the MD for Mawazo branding development. We are going to talk to him about his entrepreneurship journey. Chris, once again, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I hope I'm going to be able to give some sort of help to somebody out there.
Thanks very much, Chris. On this platform, we try to inspire, motivate, and encourage other entrepreneurs as well as those that may want to start.
Okay, great, fantastic.
So maybe you may start to share with us who is Chris, the entrepreneur, before we can talk about Mawazo brand development company.
Okay. Okay, cool. Some say that you are born to be an entrepreneur, and then some people are forced to be part of it. And I think I've got a bit of both. My journey started, I think I was in primary school, and we had a big family. I think my dad, because he married again, we ended up being about 9 kids in the house. So, you know, he was able just to pay school fees, and there was nothing else extra, if you know what I mean. So we kind of grew up, you could say middle class, but the bottom of middle class. So my dad did good to try and get us to school. But in grade 4, I got to school early, and a couple of friends were playing with marbles. Now, I don't know if you know marbles, little marbles. Yep. So I was intrigued, and I saw them play. Then I joined them, and I learned it. And then after about a month or so, I was very, very good. So good that if you win, you take the marbles of the person with you. So I took those with me. So one person comes and says, "Hey, I don't have any marbles. Can I buy them from you?" And I was like, "You're not buying them from me?" And I said, "Okay, that's fine." So I started selling them. So I'd sell most of them and remain with one. And I'll get to school like really early, 6:30. And I'll just be cleaning everybody out. And by the time the bell rings at 7:30, I usually would have about 10 or 15. And then I'd sell them. So this is grade 4. By the time I got to grade 6 and 7, kids were now coming to my classroom to ask to buy marbles from me. So I was like this marbles king who had all these marbles. So what I do with the money, I'll give you in context. School levy then was about $15 for each kid. Each week I was making about $25. So I was really raking it in. So all my siblings were getting things. I would buy them stuff, extra stuff. And obviously you can do games as a young kid. So that could be the first time that I actually realized that I can make money by selling. By the time I got to high school, it turned now into what else can I move around? And then you're a kid. VCRs were coming out, you know, videotapes. And we didn't have one. We had a black and white TV. And I was like, I need to watch stuff. So there was a guy who had, and they were rich. So each Saturday, I would walk 10 kilometers to his house and spend 30 minutes trying to persuade him to talk to him. And I would make him laugh or entertain him. Then he'd say, "What do you want?" And I think that was the first thing that taught me how to be persuasive in trying to get someone to give you what you want and what you have to use. He would give me tapes. And remember, we didn't have a VCR at home. So I'd have to go and find my friend who had a VCR. And again, wait, persuade them. Then I'd watch all the movies I wanted to watch. The Rambos, everything else that you wanted to watch. So it was those sort of skills that made me realize what I'm good at. I could actually speak to someone and convince them to do something. And I could convert that into money. My brothers then kind of saw that in me. And they started giving me stuff like art books, things that they could try and sell. And I sold, I think each year until about Form 4 or something like that, I would sell stuff to my classmates and everybody else. By the time I got to upper 6, I was forced to do sciences because of my results. You know how it is when you're growing up. We'll say, these are the things that you're good at. Go ahead with that. But actually, I was creative. So I did my sciences. I was maths, physics, and computer science. And I was very good at it. But again, it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So on our A-level holiday, an ad agency just put up an advert and said, "We're looking for school leavers who might have these sort of qualifications. Tell us about what you bought yourself." And what I did is I took the advert, turned it around, and I said, "If you're looking for this, then I am your guy." So when I got the job 6 months later, I saw my CV and they said, "Not the best results, but he's very interesting." And that got me to start to work and got me into the industry. And then after 5 years of really honing my skills and put me through an internship program, I said I need to do this by myself, and that's how I started.
Interesting story you've got there, Chris. Now let's come to Mawazo Branding Development Company. What prompted you to get into this particular industry, and why brand development?
Great. So if you remember, I told you that at school, I did a lot of sciences. But at home and in hindsight, I start remembering how we used to take magazines, me and my brother, and I'd sketch and I'd look at adverts and draw them all over again. So in me, I knew I was a creative person. That's where my whole passion was. So when I joined the first ad agency that I trained with, within 2 years, I was familiar with everything that they were doing. So I was very curious. And I think that's a very important part of being an entrepreneur. You've got to be very, very curious. If you're not curious all the time and you settle, you become an employee. And it's nothing bad about being an employee. Some people are very good being employees. I mean, Bill Gates once hired the third richest man on the Forbes list, and he was employed by Bill Gates. So it's not a bad thing. But for me, I'm continuously curious. I consume a lot. So I learned all the programs. I learned how the business was run. I learned every facet of all the business. That's because I was curious. And because I was curious, I was like, I think I can do this. So 5 years at that agency, I teamed up with some of the individuals, again, to hone my skills because I was still young. And because I started working at 18. And by the time I was 22, 23, I was running the full agency. I did everything that they did. We handled their biggest client back then, which happened to be Citco. And I could do everything that they would do. They would, all their books, all the communication, everything. I was there when, Citco changed its packaging to the animals. We were there. We went through all of that with this great guy from marketing from their side. So all of that stuff was working. And one day, it always comes to you. You wake up and you realize, I think I should do this for myself. So teamed up with other individuals, started working from there. It was another company. I did that for another 5 years. So now I've got 10 years of experience under me. And again, I woke up one day and just realized, I think I've done enough here. I need to start something. So I teamed up with my current partner, and we started out in a flat with one laptop, no money, but with a burning desire that we've got something to say and to communicate in how everybody should actually be. A lot of the companies that we have in Zimbabwe, to this day, still use things like Gmail, and people don't know why that's such a bad thing. That it's not what you're supposed to do. You are supposed to put your brand out there and people understand who you are, and the value of your brand will catapult you and put so much into what you do. People take you more seriously. People want to know what your brand is about, and the customers will become more loyal. And those sort of elements we wanted to push, starting with small companies, giving them what other big companies have. Like if you look at Coca-Cola, nobody's got the budget for Coca-Cola in marketing, and they believe in it so much. But a small company which could start with like jam being made in the kitchen with proper branding and communication, it can be a big one. And that's always been our passion. Let's take the underdogs, the small companies, let's make them big and great in what they can do. And that's how Mawazo was formed. But again, we wanted a name that was different. I could have called it my name, Mahakata and Associates, but I didn't want to sound like a law firm because that was important to me, that branding was important. So we looked for a name that meant ideas and thoughts. And obviously we looked at the biggest language spoken across Africa, which is Swahili. And that's what Mawazo means. Mawazo is Swahili for thought or idea. And that's what we're good at. We'll come up with an idea of how we can push your brand on the market. And that's how we started Mawazo brand development about, what's it now, 15 years ago?
Chris, who are your clients?
Our clients are quite diverse, and I'll say this in terms of what clients will come to us for specific needs that they might want, and it depends on the service that they're looking for. So some clients are looking for purely advertising and marketing, and you get clients like IDBZ, you get clients like the FBC Holdings Group, you get clients like Debt Labs, Caps, all those sort of individuals that we work with. So it's cut across different industries. And what we've been trying to do is to find players in different sectors that we can then complement for. So you name an industry, we've probably done something for them, but it's difficult to what they wanted. They might have wanted, I need a campaign to do A, B, C, and D. So to probably answer your question in a different way, our clients are people who need branding, advertising, digital marketing. putting themselves into the marketplace in a way that's not expensive but cost effective, and they're going to get a good return from it. And that could be the definition of who our clients are.
Maybe in talking in terms of your footprint and your presence, are you just in Zimbabwe at the moment?
No, we realized 2 years ago that Zimbabwe is a unique market, and we need to be able to diversify. We have to. And our product was such an easy product for us to be able to diversify with, because the technology is there for us to be in different sectors or different areas in Africa, with a good enough footprint, as in somebody actually physically being there and having some sort of office in that space, but still being able to cater and service everybody around here. So we've got a presence in Dubai, where we've been doing some brand development work for some clients there as well. And we partner with a company that registers companies there. And say, when somebody registers a company, you need to be able to do brand development for them as well. What's your identity? What's your logo? So that somebody immediately can identify with you, because it's such a big market. I mean, Dubai alone, last year, there were 4,600 companies that were opened. Each one of them needs that sort of product. You can't say that you're a company, you got no identity. And that's what we did. We put ourselves a footprint in Kenya, Nairobi. This was necessitated by a client that we got. They wanted to establish themselves in a Pan-African thrust, and the first market we found for them was in Kenya, and obviously we put ourselves there as well. And then we're also in Johannesburg, South Africa. We made sure that we had a presence there because it was our first foray. Johannesburg is like Blayo. It's like another city from Zimbabwe. You meet some people that you've met already, and we had a couple of clients that we'd done work for here that are going to establish themselves there. So Harare, Johannesburg, Nairobi, Dubai. That's where you find us for now. But like the name suggests, we want to be across Africa. And we're working on a project right now that will probably put us in 52 countries. And it's just being able to provide that sort of service that can then get us to be there, wherever we want to be.
Chris, on this platform, we try to make sure that a lot of our viewers benefit. Would you mind sharing with us some of the challenges that you have faced as an entrepreneur, as well as your business, and how you have managed to solve them?
Great. So obviously in Zimbabwe, when you're starting out as a company, no one is going to give you money. Unless you come from a rich family, which also has got its own pitfalls, no one's going to give you money. Like I said, we started with zero. We had a laptop, which I inherited from my last workplace because they said this is a parting gift. So we had one laptop. So the biggest challenge you find in starting in a company in Zimbabwe is capitalization. By far, it is the biggest thing that will cripple you. It will take you 3 or 4 years to get to a steady foothold and to get your cash flows working. That will not work. So that's always going to be your biggest challenge. If you can't capitalize, please get into a situation where it is a side hustle that is being fed until it gets to a point where it can take care of everything that you need to take care of. Pay your salaries, pay your rent, pay your subordinates, everybody else. It's never going to be enough in the beginning, but you've got to be realistic in what you need to start with. So capitalization was our biggest challenge. How did we overcome it? We kept our needs very small. We started from home. So obviously all we had to do was pay rent. So we started from home, and obviously lunch and everything else was at home. Transport was at home. We only would go out to go and see clients if we needed to. But by then, emails were now quite relevant, and we were able to send artwork on email. It was the days before WhatsApp and everything else. So it was easy for us to transition in that sort of space. So what we did in the beginning was to make sure we had no money, no car. So let's just do great work and build momentum on that. Keep your costs very low. It's not always that you're going to have to try and get yourself going where you need to do. Just work on your image and what you need to provide. So if you're always delivering great in the beginning, the work will eventually come to you. A lot of people are surprised on some of the brands that we worked on. I'll tell you how we got into National Foods, which is a big brand in Zimbabwe. We were a small agency. We were just basically 4 of us as we began. And we went up against big agencies, which had on average 40 people. So they had big teams and big creatives. So our challenge now was, how do we get ourselves, a small agency, to be noticed? We found out who the marketing managers were. We found out who the CEO were. We found out where they entertained, where they played. And we found individuals that could help us to get there. I know it sounds so cliche, but that's how it works. So the marketing manager would not see us because he thought, you're small, you're not established. Why should I talk to you? But we knew where he was. So our offices happened to be 4 doors away from where he lived. So we'd see him every day. So when you see him, you send him a message. Hey, I hope you're okay, house family. So it got into his mind and he says, don't bother me, everything else. He got really frustrated, but we were very polite, and he got to remember who we were. We went to find out about his boss, and we found out who his boss liked to entertain. And we found that guy, and that guy, we asked him to help us to get an establishment and to get us into a meeting. That guy, when I spoke to the CEO saw our portfolio, said, this seems to be pretty clever. I like what they're doing. He then sent a message to his marketing manager, and his marketing manager phoned us and said, hi, I am so-and-so. I have been told to deal with you. I don't know you. I don't know who you are. How do can you come and see us? So we went to see him, and in 2 years, we became what he called the F5 agency. Now, if you got a PC, F5 is the help button. It tells you what's wrong with your PC, how you can get it, and we get a response. We became so good at what we did. Everybody in their marketing department, even in finance, even in research, and even the guard at security guard knew us. They knew us because what we did is we serviced them very, very well. And that's what you need to do. Make sure your clients know that you're bringing value to them every single day. So by the time we'll get to the security guard, he would know me and say, do you need help to carry anything inside? He didn't need to do that, but he would. He would tell me if the marketing person was in or not and who I need to go and see. No, the big boss is in. Go and see him today. By the time I got to the reception, they knew us as well because we were friendly. Our service was always different. By the time we got to the marketing department, everybody knew us. So by the time it was 2 years with them, we had the biggest retainer contract. There were 3 agencies that were asked to service them. We were the smallest, but we had the biggest retainer. We worked with the biggest brands. We had 7 brands. The others had 2 brands. Our marketing budgets was almost double what these other 2 had. And for the life of me, to tell you how good we were, my competitor actually sent me an email to say, I want you to work for me. Because he couldn't figure out how we had done what we had done. It's no secret. Your client is a person. It's not an email address. It's somebody that you can meet and they're a human being. And those are the secrets, and I want people to understand is that at the end of a phone call is a human being. You've got to treat them like a human being. Become familiar with them. Know what they're like and who they're about. If you service that, your client will pick you up. This is how good we are at what we do. I got a client who phoned me and said, my kid needs to learn piano lessons. Do you know anything about that? Now, why would somebody ask me about piano lessons? It's because they trust me. And that's also number 2. Build trust. If you build trust with your clients, they will trust you with their money and their product and their brands for you to work what needs to be done. So capitalization, building trust. You get to the point where you now always have to reinvent yourself. 5 years ago, we were different from what we were now. We actually even changed our logo, the one at the back, to that. We put a brighter color as well. Why are we constantly reinventing ourselves? If you remain the person that you are, you're going to be in trouble. Coca-Cola's logo has remained the way it is, but the way they present it to the audience is always different. And that's the sort of things you always want to do. So even if you look at us as personal development, where we are, Christopher now and Christopher 10 years ago, totally different. I should be able to bring something on the table that no one else has seen. Hence why we're able to say that we're across borders. We're experiencing different clients. What we experience outside, we can bring for our clients here in Zimbabwe as well. So you always consistently need to reinvent yourself. Now, reinvent yourself can be something very simple, and people will get towards just talk about who you are. If you follow me on either one of these social media platforms, you will find out that today, Shepherd, is the only day that you see me without a bow tie. If you have known me for years, and anybody will testify, this is my brand. I've got 72 of these brands now. And wherever I am, I'm always wearing a bow tie.
Okay.
Now, because of COVID, we're here at home. So I'm always having to wear one. But that has become part of me. It's become so much of me that people are surprised when they see me without one. Now, why does that help? It's because in their mind, I fixed that this is who Chris is. Chris is the one who wears a bow tie. They don't even have to know my name. In fact, most people don't even know my full name. My full name is Christopher Mahakata. But everybody says Mr. Mawazo because they see the bow tie. And they say, you must be a Mr. Into orange, you must be Mawazo. So it works that way, that I am become memorable. And if you're memorable, your brand is what people want to use. And you must become in their mind space all the time. So great service and always be memorable and reinventing yourself all the time. Is the environment good in Zimbabwe? It's not. And that's why you need to always reinvent yourself. So the skill set that we've learned here, where there's no money, you have to make a plan every 2 minutes. We took it to a stable economy like South Africa. And what we turned out for one of our clients there, which was like green outdoor gyms, he was amazed and he said, is this how you guys are in Zimbabwe all the time? I want to hire Zimbabweans only. So our work ethic catapulted us. He was so impressed with us. He says, let's go across Africa. Wherever I am, you must set up your agency as well. Again, reinventing yourself, but bringing a work ethic on the ground that everybody was able to say, I love how it works. And the money comes in once that happens. And it's not even a secret at all. That's how it works all the time.
Chris, I know you have already talked about capitalization being an issue, but I want to draw you back. A lot of people that we have spoken to, they really want to start and run businesses, but they always complain about seed capital. And you are telling me you had to start with just one computer. What message would you want to tell anyone who is thinking of starting and running a business and has been facing challenges to do with seed capital?
I think when we started and where these guys are starting today, totally different. Shephard, I'm speaking to you right now through Zoom. Zoom wasn't there a couple of years ago. And you are where you are, speaking about us, wherever you are. You are going to publish this on YouTube and send it across. How much money are you going to spend to do all of that? Just data. Exactly. So I think it's actually, I wish I was starting again now, but I don't have to, because what I know and where I'm starting now puts me miles ahead. If you don't have money, all you need is a brilliant idea. The tools are there for you. Wonderful things like Google, Microsoft, all those applications now have made starting up a business a lot easier for anybody out there. You can register your domain by yourself now. You can put up a website, which could work by yourself now. You can now put together a social media plan by yourself with the tools that are available now. So actually, the first thing I'll say, Shepherd, and it might sound brutal, is there is no excuse to say, Amari, to start a business right now. There's none excuse, no way. Mark Zuckerberg had Facebook, which he put on his laptop. He developed it, gave it to somebody. That person took it and ran with it. Next moment, he's valued at $15 billion. There is no excuse for the young generation right now to say, I'm going to have it. I'll give a good example as well is to start us, how we would start is people want to see us developing stuff. So if you don't have a laptop, there are now packages and offices where you can go and actually rent out a machine. You put into a contract for 30 days. In 30 days, you must get one job, whether it's a logo, business card, letterhead, whatever it is. So you're not even using your own stuff, you're renting it. And that's what this new generation has got advantage of over what we went through, is that they can start tomorrow. They don't have to own anything. They can rent it with a promise to pay after 30 days, and you're good to go. Right now, I can get a voice recording of an artist from Australia who 40 years old and can be sent to me. I send him a script. He sends me stuff. I don't have to see him. So again, Shepherd, I'm going to say there is no excuse. You can also marry now to start a business. Name any industry, and I can tell you definitively you can start tomorrow, because all you have to do now is just find the tools that you need, and they're available everywhere, and be able to push and start your business tomorrow. Trucking, right now, you can hire trucks and in your office, have a meeting with someone, put the deal together, money is transferred without leaving where you are. It's so much easier to do it now, and you can do it effortlessly. So the first thing they need to get over is their own mind, because that's always the biggest problem, is that people think, I can't do it. No, a good idea and great execution is all you need, and it will happen the way you want to. Especially in a country like Zimbabwe, where there's a lot of opportunities if you get it. Once you've keyed in your service, you can be like Stripe in the next couple, 10, 15 years.
Chris, I like very much what we are discussing today. I hope a lot of people would get inspired and motivated. Now, Chris, I would want to hear from you. You cannot talk of entrepreneurship without talking about creation as well as empowerment. How have you managed to create employment in the past? How have you managed to empower people? But not only that, if you could also combine that with what's your vision and plan for the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, great. I'm a firm believer that I can't do everything. And I'll hesitate to say this, that I'm lazy. I'm very lazy. And Bill Gates said that if you want to get anything done, give it to a lazy person. So I know what my strengths are. I could come up with a concept, but then execution, I need a very good team that does that. And that's where most of these elements will come in. Pick upon people who are very good at what they do, and they must tell you what should happen. My job is then to guide and be the vision of where I need to be. So in our company, we're now 17, but downstream, people that we've employed, each individual in our company, I've said to them, you need to have what people might call a side hustle, but something else that pays you. What Mawazo will provide for you is an opportunity for you to grow your idea and be able to say this, I'm going to run with it as much as possible. So we have probably helped this in 2 ways. Internally, everybody within us has got to have some sort of side hustle of what they can do, their passion, what they love doing. Coming to Mawazo is a job, and I'll pay you for coming to do the job in service to the clients, but you then need to be able to have your own side hustle. One of our client services ladies has got a passion for fashion. And she would say, yeah, I love working here, but Zim is running away from us and I need to make extra money. I said, not a problem. What's your passion? And she told me that I really like fashion and I want to be able to do that. So I said, go online, find out the stuff that you like to do. Then she did. And she came back and I said, write a proposal. And she wrote a proposal. 1 page, it can never be more than 2 pages, 1 page. If it's more than 1 page, you don't understand it. So they wrote 1 page, what they wanted to do. So I can tell you right now that she is supplying bags, shoes, belts. She's got a brand on social media and she's moving products, quite a lot of product. And she does it with her phone. Again, there's no need for capital to start. And she's pushing it as much as possible. And she's been able to do that and still become one of our top salesperson in our company. So we will encourage everybody to have that because heaven forbid, if something comes up and you don't have a fallback plan, how have I helped you? And I don't think I would have been a great person to motivate individuals if I don't get you to do something on your own side and grow that business. So what does that look like for Mawazo in the next 5 to 10 years? Right now, because of the COVID and what's happened, it's made us reevaluate how we work. And we've got an interesting concept where we want to make sure that we've got a presence on every country in Africa. That's going to be our office. Our office, when somebody comes to us, must say, I want to know about Africa. And the people that I want to talk to must be Mawazo. So our dream is to become the biggest communication agency in Africa. And that's where we're going to be in the next 10 years. To get there, we need to be able to establish systems right now that can feed back into that. I like the model that Bank ABC has. Bank ABC was across Africa in different countries. But the back office where the nitty-gritty work was being done? Here in Zimbabwe. So you'd have a process being done, let's say in Cote d'Ivoire, and someone has done all their transactions. All the back office has been done here in Zimbabwe. So we've got an idea of having the mothership being in Zimbabwe. That's our idea. Where we've got creatives who head certain departments housed here. But then we've got work coming out from everywhere across Africa. And once you have that coming through, all of that work that's going to come through is going to be processed and it's going to be deployed from Zimbabwe. So we're going to have a presence in all 54 countries. And right now, because of COVID, it's pushed us to be more digital than anything else. So we're going to be 100% digital. We can be anywhere, have a meeting at any time, get a briefing, deploy information, send everything back to you complete without you having to have set foot in Zimbabwe at all. And that's where we are. So COVID has actually jump-started that. Something that we wanted to do later on in the year has jump-started that. And it's put us in a place to say, okay, fine. Are you working with teams? Are you doing Zoom meetings? How is all of that happening? How are you handling your traffic? If you get a brief, how do we debrief? How do you speak to everybody out there? Like I got a brief from my colleague in Kenya who want us to be able to come up with a campaign for a fashion house there to say, how do we then sell our products online? And that's what we work on right now here in Zimbabwe. No office problems whatsoever. And we derive that problem, solve it, send it back, and it's already then will be deployed. And that's how it's going to be from 5 years to 10 years from now. Biggest communication agency, fully 100% digital. We have an office in every country in Africa, and that's achievable. And I know people have seen COVID as the worst thing that's happened to our economy, but I think it needed us to change how we are. I think we are good enough to be across the whole of Africa. If Strive can do it, why can't we do it? And just have a game plan, the right people, and develop the ideas from there.
Chris, I'm very much impressed with your vision. Now, let me know what are the available opportunities in the creative and technological sectors from your experience and exposure?
I think in our industry, it's the biggest. I know people say manufacturing and everything else, but right now, right here, if your product is not being marketed, it's nowhere. If no one knows about your product, it's nowhere. So you've got an opportunity actually to be in an industry that's going to dictate the success of the next Mark Zuckerberg, next Tesla, next Strive. That's where you are. Communication for me is probably the biggest industry that's out there. And people just need to understand it. How diverse is it? You've got digital marketing, you've got your traditional advertising, you've got your content management, you've got your social media platforms. So there's so many areas that we can actually tap into that you want to be able to take when you go with you. And it's only up to you in terms of how much limit you have. In Africa alone, let me give you, one of our slogans, if you see it, is that we want to change the narrative. A lot of people don't know about Africa. They think it's a dumping ground for cheap products. They think it's a place where you can just buy anything for cheap. They think that it's not developed, it's not forward-looking. But I'll have you know that the biggest and hardest workers are in Africa. So we got an opportunity to develop communication specifically for Africa, to drive the narrative for Africa, and to send it across the way it's supposed to be. So if you tell me now you've got 1.3 billion people in Africa that need content for Africa, look at what Nollywood did. Nollywood now competes with Bollywood and Hollywood on revenue. And these guys used to make 7-minute videos with their phones at home. And look where they are now. So the opportunities are immense. And I think that everybody should actually have some sort of communication strategy. They should be delving into that. If you've got a product and it's a great product, someone has got to know about the product. And that's where we come in. We want to be able to push that across everybody. In our industry, it's the greatest and best opportunity to do that. Think of anything that you probably bought in the last 30 days. You only knew about it, especially now with the lockdown, through some sort of communication. So the opportunities are vast. I don't think we're going to go out of business. I think we're just going to redefine how our business works. And I'm very glad that there are opportunities like that, especially in my industry. I think downstream, we can be able to help other people as well.
Mm-hmm. Chris, you have mentioned COVID-19, the pandemic. How has it affected your business in particular, if ever? And how do you think it has also affected other businesses in general?
So with our client base, before the lockdown was actually infected, we decided to actually start remote offices because we wanted to test it out first before. So the first thing is that I don't get to see my team every day, which is not great because I think social is great for our industry. Ideas can spark. So we had to reinvent how we actually do that. And of course, this is great. Zoom meetings, WhatsApp, all of that. So we had to embrace that technological side as quickly as possible while still maintaining a very visible presence with our clients. So it's shifted now to that the traditional media that we used to book for our clients to say communicate with, like you'd have a newspaper that actually we printed, is now shifted that everything is now consumed on a mobile device. So our strategy and our campaigns now had to change. And how do you speak to someone on that sort of device? And we had to make sure that we were up to date and move very quickly, faster than our clients, because our clients would have to play catch up. One of our clients is in the tobacco industry, one of the biggest, TSF. And they now had to find a situation, how do they communicate to their farmers to say that the tobacco season, which is now, and we now need to talk to them. So obviously now a WhatsApp campaign, visuals that talk to them, reinforcing what it is, because now what people were looking for was more communication. And we had to be very adaptive, very fast, and try and be able to supply that as quickly as possible. So COVID came in to jumpstart us. I think it worked. Our clients were slow, a bit off the mark, but what we've been able to do is to see what the rest of the world is doing, the Europe, Australia, Americas, in coping with that, and then take that information to them so that they're ready with all the right information to able to move forward with what they need to do. So the change has just been that I don't see most of my people anymore, but that's only made us move faster. And I think our plan to be in Africa has been kickstarted by COVID more than anything else.
Chris, it has been great having you on the show, but before you go, I would want to afford you an opportunity to speak to your clients, speak to other entrepreneurs out there, as well as anything that you may want to share with our viewers at the moment.
Great. Thanks, Shepherd. Mawazo is thought and idea, and that's what we want to be able to do. We want to be across Africa speaking your language because that's who we are. We're African. And when we speak African, we speak mostly about what your products are about and how to take your brand to market in the best and most cost-effective way. So to all our clients, thank you for the support. I think beyond us, we wouldn't be who we are without you. And we want to make sure that we can continuously service you with the best of our service and abilities. And look out for 2020. It's not going to end up in gloom. It's going to jumpstart us to something much bigger and better than anything that we've seen out there. To those new clients out there that are going to work with us, look us up, mawazobd.com, and we'll be able to give you a solution that you're looking for or probably even never thought about. That's us. Mawazo, changing the narrative, always.
Thank Thanks very much for that, Chris. To our viewers, thank you very much for having been with us. We will continue to bring you very entertaining and very insightful entrepreneurs talking to us, sharing their experiences. Please keep on watching our show. Chris, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Shephard. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks, sir.